Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to something a little bit different. I said welcome back. I shouldn't have done. I can't welcome you back to something we've never done before. It's the Grandmaster Cup, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You could be forgiven for not knowing that there's a tournament on at the moment, and that is because there's only one person that's been doing any coverage, I believe, and that person is Zlo. So round of applause to Zlo. Well done, sir, flying that flag for Supcom. Bad Gyle, naughty Gyle. You started off this year saying you were excited and looking forward to all of the tournaments, and lo and behold, the first one that comes along, you kind of miss it. But it's not too late. It's still early on. It was actually Squibble that gave me the proverbial kick in the backside in the shape and form of a very nicely worded YouTube mail, so thank you to him. He's a lovely guy. And he was actually sent me this game. He sent me the second game of this match that we're going to cover today, but I thought we'll do it officially. We'll do the whole match, a little bit more interesting. Bit of background about the tournament for those of you who don't know much about it. It's got Mad Mozart as its tournament director, so hopefully it's got a nice proper tourney director there. It should be seen through to the end, and it's a 32-man tourney, knockout stages succeeding from group stages, and of the group stages is Group F that concerns us today, and of that group we find TA for Life, Pietros, Silent and Doom, and it is between Silent and Doom and that match that we're concerned today. Two names that go together like bread and butter, and each match consists of 2 games, and each player gets to select one of the maps for those 2 games. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this first map, this first game that we're going to watch, is going to be Silent's pick. I haven't had a chance to speak to either of these guys to confirm that yet, or the tournament director, but I did look on the forums at the match posting between Silent and TA for Life, and this map appears in that game too, so I can only assume or infer from that that Silent is well rehearsed at it, and that is his pick. So the pick that's going first is going to be Silent's pick, and that pick I believe is Crag June. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. So going first up here at the top in Pontiff White, it is the one and only Silent, running the very beautiful, the very noble, the highly sexual UEF. I don't know where it comes from. Anyway, he is opening first land, second and third land, so mass land coming out from him on that one. His opponent down here at the bottom, the very evil, the very smelly, the highly celibate Cybran. It's Doom, his customary Cybran, opening first and second land. And sorry, people started to comment. It's like, Gyle, stop bashing the Cybran. I can't help it. I physically can't help it. It's a reflex thing. Yeah, not surprisingly, people are going to push hard on ground on this map. You can go early air, especially with Cybran. Maybe go for an early Jester, but you've got to make that Jester pay. You've got to pick off these expanding engineers, really hamper your opponent. It doesn't look like that is the plan of attack for Doom at the moment. We've got Mech Marines out for Silent, a little bit of a lab play. The first one coming down through the eastern apertures, that's going to pick off a mole. Nice work from him there. It's going to deny some intel, obviously, for Doom, and he's going to push on towards the Hydro, and Doom, recognizing the threat, redirecting that engineer now that he's got a Mantis for protection. Doesn't have to worry anymore, and that Mantis will defend him nicely. But there's another lab out here over in the west, and that will run headfirst into an engineer. Won't be writing any more letters home to Mama. There he goes. So nice work from that lab for Silent. That's going to slow down the expansion all the way out here to the west, and Doom actually going for an early push into the middle. An engineer with a couple of flanking Mantis for protection, and he's going to get on a reclaim mission. Some structures to reclaim. We've got an attack move down here, so he's not even queuing up any mexes as yet. Let's take a look at how these guys are doing in the early game reclaim side of things. 1,200, nearly 1,300 banks so far for Silent, and about the same for Doom. So there's nothing in it between these two players at the moment. Strikers massing over here at the eastern aperture, but more Mantis coming into the middle as well, and it looks like Doom wants to secure that position. He's queued up a radar and an auto gun to do just that. Mass factory spam queued up for both of these players. Doom stretching right out into the aperture as well. Interesting decision. A little bit more constrained building methods there for Silent, who seems to be a little bit further ahead. That fourth factory just going down for Doom as the fourth factory is completed for Silent, so more production power on the way quicker. And indeed, if this is Silent's choice, which we can infer it probably is, then it's not really surprising. Silent's build order going to be very rehearsed and very polished on this particular map. Silent pushing out to the east with his ACU to the aperture. Gonna pick up a couple of those mass extractors. Doom still pretty sedentary, sitting in the center of his base for the moment. Now, consistent with the meta would be for both of the ACUs to head to the aperture that's furthest away from their base. That is the usual tack that you get. And often it creates quite a large wheeling motion on the map. Sometimes, occasionally, you'll get a base trade. Doesn't look like that's on the cards today. Silent locking down the eastern aperture. A little bit of a fracas engagement between these two bodies of T1. And the radar does go down in the middle, but Striker's not going to be able to plow through that autogun, of course. Engineer survives. It's going to rebuild that radar. Still a couple of Strikers working around the back. Now, this is the problem. Doom is late expanding round to the west. And more often than not, when this happens, 9 times out of 10, you'll have a battle that ensues on this side. And this battle won't really get established. And because of the presence of the ACU over on this side, for the top player, for instance, in this case Silent, it's going to go better, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, for him. And that often means that this player has to recall his ACU, leaving this side vulnerable. But we'll see how the whole game develops. It does happen an awful lot. A couple of Strikers still alive at the back and working on the back mechs. Surely they want to finish off the Mantis. Mantis actually defended in time. 72 hit points left. A couple more shots will do it. Oh, just manages to pick it off. So now that takes us 21 mass to 17 in favor of Silent. His expansion going significantly better. Almost all of the mechs on his side of the map are claimed. Just this one in the top right to go. Just look at all of the empty mass points over here on this side of the map for Doom. Silent now with his PD in place, feels that's pretty secure. And take a look at the kind of range that's got on it now. He's going to be denying all of this territory from Doom. And there's not a great deal he can do about it. Take a look at what he's actually got, Silent. He's still sitting on 4,000 power, so doesn't have access to overcharge yet. Probably wants to think about that. Let's take a look at factory count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.5 factories against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 factories. So still a factory ahead and an air factory in play for both players. One Jester at the back not being used at the moment, but a bomber out for Silent. Drop a bomb, but it's looked to have killed anything. And Silent pushing very far forward indeed, right into the aperture at the front of Doom's base. Doom concerned, preoccupied with defense, already building auto guns around this area. And looky, what have we got here? Doom having to withdraw his ACU from that side. This is, of course, allowing potential pressure from Silent on these mechs, which he still hasn't been able to secure. Nice, efficient build from Silent, now running 31 to 17 in his favor in terms of mass. Now we're going on reclaim as well. 5,400 banked for Silent, 3,400 banked for Doom. So Silent really winning in just about every area on this one at the moment. Bomber finally gets shot down in the middle, but not looking good over in the west. Engineer safely around that particular ridge, at least for the moment. That's, of course, unless Silent decides to dispatch an odd tank just to check out what's there. That engineer's finally died, I'm assuming, to a bombing run in the middle. So there's 2 mechs unclaimed, but Silent's unlikely to be able to push that with what he's got in the middle. He needs to get a Lobo or 2 to deal with it. Silent's going to throw an upgrade on this comm as well. 7 3/4 minutes gone in this one, and Doom's actually going to push forward. How are we actually looking in terms of general spam? 20 Medusas, 53 Mantis, this is 71 Strikers, 13 Lobos, so slightly different compositions of units there, but we can both or all agree that production power definitely with Silent at the moment. It's got more factories, a lot more mass. Manchester now finding a job for itself, working on some of these strikers that are invading around the back. Silent brings in a couple of his inties to deal with it though. There it goes. Of course, this is drawing in more units, which Doom is going to want on his battle up here in the east. Needs to be a little bit careful here. Has Doom got access to overcharge? Yes, he does. So far, not using it very successfully. Doom down into yellow now, 5,500 hit points. Needs to be a little bit careful. Yes, he's got a lot of backup. Overcharge there, just killing one unit. Needs to be more efficient with those. Silent now bringing in his own ACU. Doom surely should back up here because one quick rush from the tanks and it's all over, and I think he probably just wants to get on to game 2 as he drops well into the red. Boom, baby. There he goes. Thought for a minute he wasn't going to go, but there he goes on the nose of 9 minutes for that one. And that's just a demonstration of a much more efficient play from someone who just knows the map just that little bit better. Well, hope you enjoyed that game 1. We're going to have game 2 coming up very shortly, guys. In the meantime, however, we are going to be back after these important messages. Unless, of course, you're using adblock, in which case I hate you. But anyway, on to game 2. And that game 2, this, I'm assuming, is Doom's choice, is going to go down on open palms. So let's go on over to the game zones as our guys are gating in as we speak and see how these guys are going to get on. So Doom, very conventional choice from both of these players. Classic ladder map matches, games that these guys would have played thousands maybe of times. And we'll take a look at the starting locations. Up here at the northern or the northwestern nook, we have Silent, still rocking his standard UEF. Good for him. Opening first land, second air. A little bit more unit diversity coming out from him this time on this map. All very expectant. And his opponent, of course, down here at the bottom right. He's a game down. It's Doom, still sporting the Cybran, still going as blue, and opening first land, second air as well. So we'll see how it is. Remember, this was the game as well that Squibble drew me to, so expect good things. Certainly I am expecting good things. Lots of land factories queued up here. 7 up here at the front queued up for surrounding that land factory. How does that compare? Whoa, way more for Silent. 11. He's thinking of bigger and bolder things. Lots of engineers coming out on reclaim duty. I think we can afford to jazz it up a little in speed. Another mech marine out. Nice to see the lab play from Silent. Likes his early denials. He's going to camp out by this mechs down here, it looks. Incidentally, guys, just like Squibble did, you don't have to send me only replays that you feature in. If you like watching replays and you happen to buy a decent one, well, just send it in. Just send me in the replay. I'm always on the lookout for new ones. Like I say, I might be covering quite a lot of this tourney if it turns out to be good. So I might not get to it right away, but I'm always on the lookout for more replays. More the merrier. Can never have too many. And it doesn't always have to be, as I say, something that you're featuring in. If you see a good replay, I would love to get my hands on it. Anyway, interceptors and bombers and scout planes out now for these two guys. Where is he heading? He's having a quick shufty with that scout plane first of all, trying to find a decent target, but it looks like Doom has homed in on that bomber. Down it goes. So no rice for you, my friend. And Silent already making use of that comm, moving out towards the northern or northeastern hydro. Doom has moved out a little, but seems to be a little bit less aggressive with his ACU than Silent does, and I always feel like that's a bit of a recipe for disaster. He does the right thing, he moves it out, but he's slightly more tentative. Of course, always something to worry about when you're facing a UEF, when you're going Cybran. You have that hit point disadvantage, but I think you're going to be okay on a game like Open Palms. It's going to be a long while and a lot of walking before your ACUs bump into each other, and it's also pretty unlucky if they do, being as there's such a large open space for you to traverse. But quite a lot of strikers pouring down the western edge of the map now for Silent, bearing down on that southwestern starting location. A lot of Mantis in play is going to make him think better of it, however. Strategic bombing runs from T1 bombers from Silent, picking off that radar. Nice work there, always good to see. Either player going for super early ridge caps. Sometimes you see people go for it straight away. There's a lot of mass to be had in those 6 mexes. Doom trying to chase down this little group of strikers. Tough thing to do with an ACU, of course. You're going to be much slower. He calls off the chase, moves further north, and decides to pursue with Mantis, but it's going to cost him 2 mexes. Doom now behind in mass already at the 6-minute mark. 37 to 29 mass on this one. Just a more efficient expansion once again from Silent. Now 43 to 37. Still these strikers making a nuisance of themselves behind enemy lines. And going to pick off that engineer as well. Nice work from Silent. Lots of harassment going on. Always good to see. And already we can see finally a factory build going on from Silent. He's going to go and distance build up onto the ridge there. That's going to be the start of his move for at least the southern plateau. Still not seeing any transports on the way from Doom. Doesn't look like he's too concerned with the plateaus at all at the moment. He is doing alright on the ridge though. He's got an engineer in play. Bag 2 of the mechs are down here. Got a radar and looking to get some PD in play. Actually, he's not at all. That's queued up stuff. I assumed it from that engineer. Didn't look at it properly. That is queued up stuff from Silent. Completely unperturbed by the fact that Doom has already set up shop here. He's going to want to slow down that engineer, I think. Or not. Just allow it to plow on and the strikers will carve themselves a path. What are we doing on the reclaim side of things? 1600 mass banked for Doom. 2200 banked so far for Silent. Now remember, there is a slight ranking disparity between these two. About 70 points or so. So you might expect Silent to be a little bit more efficient in some things. This is a pretty consistent play. Of course, this might just be another map that Silent is particularly well versed on. Backing up with his ACU, doesn't want to find himself caught in the middle of all of that. Have a replay of the last game. But a nice little run by potentially over here in the east from Doom. 2 mexes down there for Silent. Where are they heading? Right the way around the back, potentially to that base in the rear that's usually so hard to secure. There is at least a PD in place and a factory down there. How does that compare with Doom's? Much better. He has got a factory but no defense up as yet. Second PD up here might not go amiss. Fortunately, there are no Medusas in this little mix of units for Doom, so Silent will be pretty confident he's going to be able to hold that rear position. Doom have access to overcharge? Yes, he does, and he's been using it too. So, having previously said that Doom was not being aggressive enough with his ACU, he must have heard me in the past, somehow. And over great distances. Probably shouldn't have said that. And Doom retaking the central plateau as well. Changing hands once again. Silent unable to hold, and unwilling to hold, actually. I'm assuming there's got to be some upgrading going on somewhere, because Silent's unit production has fallen off a cliff. Doom finds himself with an advantage, I think, over in the west, and he's got units massing in the east, where there really isn't much presence at all from our white UEF. Of course, there has just been a significant run-by. This is nice dispersal from Doom. There is a T2 land HQ in play for Silent. We do have tech, on the field as well for Doom. And Doom has also caught up on the mass side of things. But look at this. We have a build on both ridges now for Silent. He has control of both plateaus at the corners of the map. I wonder if that's going to be significant at all in this one. Doom probably feeling like he needs a couple more Medusas in this pile. There's a unit smattering of point defense kicking around in these different locations. And now Silent feels like it's his turn to be aggressive. Band of Mantis already in retreat thanks to the PD. And a large group of build capacity getting caught out. Just a couple of Mantis can finish all that off. Is Doom paying attention? Not at the moment, he's not. How does that look from his side of things? Many other things to be focusing on. Hoplites joining the battle in the middle, though. The question is, what is Silent doing with his tech? Looks like he's producing pillars. Massing down here. Another little run by, this time in the far west. Mantis coming up just as the area is sealed off. Not going to be able to get round the back on that one. Engineer cowering behind the wall sections, hiding from the Mantis, and he's going to survive. What a wonderful story he'll have to tell his little engineer grandchildren, of which there will be many. UEF, of course, Catholic, not allowed to use contraception. Scorcher incoming from Silent. Picks off a couple of Mantis on the corner of the formation there. Surprised it's not going more central, using a little bit more of the AoE damage, but it still feels light up here on the field. Silent using his ACU to good effect. Doom obviously not feeling like he can make any ground here. He's certainly, surely, if you take out this PD with a couple of Medusas, you could get a run-by in down here and start threatening the main. Silent, of course, stuck for the moment, at least on an upgrade. Doom finds himself forward again, though, with advancing troops coming in from Silent. This time the pack of troops has T2 inbuilt into it. They're definitely not inbred. They might be Catholic, but they're not inbred. I don't know. Back to the game. Good stuff. More point defense going up, though. But an overcharge from Doom, completely unperturbed by it. Takes it down to around 30%. He's not going to stick around. All he needs to do is come back in and fire another one of those in, but he's not got a massive amount of overreach on that power generation, so it takes a while for him to recharge. Always a good idea to build a little bit more extra power. Power balance is essential, eco balance in this game, but you're going to be using your overcharge a lot. More power is essential. Once again, though, it looks like the central plateau could be about to change hands. Silent moving in with a whole bunch of T1 and hoplites evicted. Overcharge takes care of the pillar. Still that PD in operation. Could have stuck around to finish it off. Silent looking very strong, though, out in the west, and it concerns me slightly. This ridge line, Doom losing massive points. Quite the number down here. 4 of them out of commission, and another 2 out of commission down here. This is good play from Silent, and it's allowing him to edge ahead. 93 to 73 on mass so far. Let's take a look at reclaim values. 10,200 banked for Silent, and only 4,300 banked for Doom. So Doom definitely finding himself with less in the coffers. A large advance from Silent's forces. He can get a surround on the ACU. He can start to primary it. Certainly sensing like a kill might be on the cards here. Doom needs to get his own forces in between those of Silent and his ACU. He's doing quite effectively at the moment, but keeping the ACU in play to use that overcharge. Rhino's a welcome addition to this pack. Cheeky little bombing run in there from Silent. Takes Doom down into the red below 3,000 HP. And also at the same time a little push over in the east. And Silent finally addressing the issue of being weak on the ground in the east is going to secure the area, get some shielding, get some point defense. Get some anti-air defense. I like what I see there. That's a lot of T2 that suddenly turned up for Doom. His ACU might be badly beaten up. He's got a lot of power on the ground. There's no mistaking that compared to the odd Pillar and Mongoose that's sitting in there. That's a lot of Cybran tech queued up. Used properly, that could be very dangerous, but another run by this time from Silent finishes off the last couple of mass points in that redundant starting location at the bottom left. We have got units of PD that he's going to have to be careful of, taking them out one at a time with Lobos. But Silent now dramatically pulling ahead in eco, 105 to 71. Doom needs to address that, and address that fast. What are we looking at in terms of core resources? Well, core mechs is at T2, so doing too badly there, but it's just the sheer volume of mechs everywhere else under Silent's control, and these fringe mechs for Doom out of commission. And look at this, the ballsy, cheeky play. A courier inbound from Silent drops 4 engineers off down here and immediately starts trying to teeth all of the mexes. Doom has some engineers in the area. He's going to recycle them. Takes the Lobo out on the ridge as well. And in hindsight, might have been better for Silent to start with the point defense and not the mexes. But hindsight is a beautiful thing. We are all geniuses when we have the benefit of it. Just looking at the diminishing map control now for Doom. This is not a great situation to be in. However, we do have a number of T2 units in terms of tech advantage down here for Doom, but also we've now got bricks joining the scene, and if microed correctly, this could be a huge victory on the cards. Bottom left down here for Doom. We have also got T3 on the field for Silent, but as yet no units joining the front lines. The first Titans on the field now. He's going to want to change that up to Percival's now he sees the presence of the bricks. Doom needs to keep as broad a face towards his opponent with this formation as he can as he advances. Going to allow for the most amount of damage. Silent has quite a lot of pillars in there though now. The advantage on the ground has dissipated for Doom on this side of the map. More units on the run by over in the west. I think transport to help courier some of these units down. Ideal for Silent. Silent wisely backing up in the face of this one. And still his lead increases 116 to 74. I wonder if the emergence en masse of these bricks is going to be significant. And now we're starting to see Percy's joining the fight. When you see those bricks, you know you're going to need them. And look at this, a shameful point defense creep from Silent, slowly moving triads towards Doom's base. Silent allowing a lot of his T1 to get picked off up at the front here. Obviously not too concerned about it, at least for the moment. But he's got to do something about this over here. He wants to be able to take back these mexes. And it's all about this wall of bricks. Oh, see what I did there? Out front. The amount of ground that Silent has now given up. He needs to be careful. He doesn't want to lose control of this patch up here. Percy's now approaching the front lines. Just get the feeling that this battle is going to be crucial over here in the west. Quite surprised that we haven't seen any kind of play made for the plateaus at all from Doom. It's to beat Silent on the main field, but that's going to become increasingly more difficult the longer this game goes on. Distance between these two in eco is increasing. Huge volley of mongoose fire. The bricks down to just 260 odd HP. Build capacity getting massacred on that one. But now we've got a standoff brewing. We've got trebuchets over here in the east trying to range Silent's base. Good idea to mix that up with some mobile missile launchers. Just seems like Silent needs to get more Percys into the battle. He's having such an issue dealing with these. He needs to back up. And he needs to devote more build capacity to that factory, which I think is what he's planning on doing. Looks like engineers making their way around there. Only a brick down. Another one right on the edge of death. 500 hit points. One Percy round would do it. And Trebuchet is actually gaining some traction down here. Silent has backed up with his ACU. We've got a forward fusion reactor, which is in jeopardy. 24.5 minutes gone in this one so far. And he's actually got some TAC missile launchers further back. What's he going for? Is he going for mexes? Yes, he is. More pressure, more pain for Doom, having only just re-established himself down here. Still not able to deal with the units on the ridge, though. Novo just going to undo all of that hard work. Going to lose 3 more mexes again down here on this side. But a wave of Stingers coming in around the back. The T2 UEF gunships, but now core mechs under pressure as well. This is looking very, very bad for Doom, and it's such a shame because he's been doing so well on the field. All 3 rear mechs is down. Rear factory under pressure. Doom dispatches his air force. Should be able to mop those up without any difficulties. Air force for Silent way up here by his comm. There's quite a lot of artillery pressure bearing down on Silent. He's going to try and counter it with a clink hammer, some T2 static. He has to hope this shield holds out long enough for him to finish off some of these trebuchets. I don't know if he's going to be able to. I want to think about getting a second shield gen in play first. And look at this, finally a critical mass of Percivals has been reached. The bricks have been depleted in number. All that hard work from Doom being unraveled over there in the west. And he's actually just going to go, you know what, sod it, and throw caution to the wind. Take down as many units as he can in the process. Sure, that's going to go Silent's way. He has got bricks in the middle as well. Some of the reinforcing Percivals have been distracted, but Stingers brought in to deal at first with the build capacity and then moving on to the bricks. But amazingly, Silent has been pushed off his eastern position, falling back with his ACU, shield destroyed, and now the static D is on the way out. Of course, Doom unable, or unlikely, I think, to capitalize on that right now, surely because of the impending push coming over from the west. Very little point defense in the base. Doom, of course, with access to overcharge, he'll be able to pick off the Percivals as they come close, but he won't want to expose his comm to too much danger, but deciding not to back off, he's going to continue to press, and you know what? Forget what I just said. I like this decision. He needs to get his inties involved to take care of those gunships. I don't really know why he's not doing it. He hasn't got any anti-air on the ground in this pack, and he's losing hit points and T3 units out of this mix, which he's going to need if he's going to affect any real damage on the core base here. The push from Silent has been stalled. Doesn't quite have enough power on the ground. And this is why this was a great decision. I didn't think he had enough to repel this attack, but he did, and that means he can continue to press up here. Silent's ACU is incredibly close to this army. The inties for Doom finally brought in and working on the gunships, but he's lost an unnecessary amount of units. But this is just the way it goes when you've got so much to concentrate on. Silent with his ACU now backing up into the center of his base. Still a bunch of Stingers working on these forces. And if he was going to throw away his air units, which is what he's done, he might as well have taken the gunships with him. More Percivals rolling off the conveyor belt. Silent, you have access to overcharge. Yes, you do. You're going to want to be using that as often as possible. There we go. Only takes one unit with him. Jaina's bombing their own power generators so they try and get to the Cybran units that are now pouring into Silent's base. The T2 radar under pressure. One fusion reactor down. Power grid under major threat now. A second fusion down. A third and a fourth. How are we looking on power, Silent? You've lost an awful lot of T2 P-Gens. Is he going to lose another? Yes, he is. He's just about keeping his head above water. Remember, each T2 fusion generator brings in 500 power. He's going to want to keep this online at all costs, and he does just manage it. 310 hit points on the clock on that one. So Silent very close to being crippled. Certainly his options are diminished by that. He's going to have to work on re-establishing his power grid as soon as humanly possible. Stinger's still working though, but at the same time, Doom finds himself, he's had a victory on the field in terms of taking down that power. He will have slowed Silent up, but at the same time, look at that mass deficit. It's over 3 times where Doom wants it to be. Massive mass shortfall for a moment, as no doubt Silent is having power issues as he tries to get that power grid re-established. That is a godsend that he managed to keep hold of that one. He would have been in serious trouble. That was a very entertaining passage of play, taking us to around the 30-minute mark in this one so far. Still, these Stingers are alive. Radar goes down, and a very vulnerable P-Gen T2 up at the front. But it's build capacity that Silent is concerned with, flanking this T3 HQ. Fortunately for him, though, bangers were already rolling off the platform. Well, he takes out a lot of engineers. Probably would have been better spent taking down that power gen. That single power gen looks to be around a little under 30% of Doom's entire power output. And a Fat Boy under construction just started right up here at the back. That could be the end, surely, for Doom. Silent still trying to re-establish things. He's crept up, though, in quite a short space of time. He's got a lot of mass in the bank as well, which when he's got enough power, he'll be able to dump on that Fat Boy in a big way. Going on Doom's side of the map, he's actually queued up a Monkey Lord. Could be interesting if he could manage to get it completed. Get started. Take a look at the differences. Can't remember off the top of my head where we're at with that one. Yeah, it's 19,000 mass to complete the Monkey Lord. And we'll compare that to the Fat Boy. Should know these values, but I don't. Compare that to the 28,000 mass, so an idea of how much more expensive that fatty is. But look at the difference in eco. Monumental. Doesn't even cover it. Well over 4 times the mass going into Silent's coffers. That is not a good looking position at all for Doom to be in. A lot of T2 units, some rhinos down here for Doom, and bangers in the mix as well. It's going to nullify any potential gunship attacks, but it doesn't look like that's on the cards anytime soon. Janus now in production from that T2 factory for Silent. Sticking with fighter bombers. It's a wise decision. That TAC missile launcher, though, really stung Doom at the crucial time. Look at that. Core mechs still only 2 T2, and the other 2s are T1s because these got taken out. They were all T2. So Doom still not recovered from that TAC missile attack. That was great work from Silent. Really paid dividends. And now it is a race of experimentals. To Doom's credit, he's thrown everything into this puppy. 25,000 hit points on the clock. But he's still behind that fat boy in terms of construction. Doom is going to have to be very, very careful with his micro of that Monkey Lord. He's going to have to try and use its stealth capabilities as best he can to maximize what damage he's going to be able to effect with it. But a nice victory over there in the east. Definitely did look like he had the advantage on the field. More units brought in to reinforce from Silent. There's a lot of PD on the ground here as well. It's times like this you wish you were still producing some Medusas and throwing them into the mix. Single brick marches forward. There's a ton of build capacity up here that could get knocked aside. Looks like it's going to be. Let's take a look at what's been banked on Reclaim. Large mass fields have been harvested. 37 to 38,000 mass accumulated for Reclaim for Doom. Silent on 61,000. A massive advantage. Couple that with the huge mass advantage he's got in general. Having colossal power issues at the moment, and that's actually on an upgrade on Silent. We'll look at what that is in just a moment, but he's done it very quickly, whatever it is. But that fat boy now complete, rolling out towards the east and about to put pressure on that eastern army of Silence. Doom, sorry, could do with getting some intel on the field. And that is the power issues that he's having for the moment. That's going to stop the minute he stops working on that upgrade, I believe. Fat Boy opens up. That's such a beautiful sight. That really is. Cybrin units fleeing in the background under rains of hellfire. Makes me happy in pants. Anyway, enough of that. The Monkey Lord has been completed, and I like this. He's not just moving it up trying to get a solution on the Fat Boy. The Fat Boy is just going to run away and pummel it at range. He's going to try and effect an entry on the other side of the map, but that's a lot of Percival's, and as we've seen many times, Monkey Lords don't fare well against mass Percival's. Going to be very touch and go. Crucially, will it allow Doom or buy Doom any time to get back in this? We'll have a look at what Silent can see. You'll see these coming. That's an unmistakable Monkey Lord incoming. When you see those little red trails coming your way, you can't see where it's coming from, and then the laser of Doom, and you're like, oh no. You've got to be feeling pretty good about all those Percivals, surely. These need to be brought in to attack. Look at the alpha damage coming in on that. And we want to keep track of the Fat Boy as well, so we're going to go to split screen to keep an eye on these two engagements. Fat Boy engaging both the build capacity that's stationary up here as well as this eastern army, which is now more of a southern army. It's retreated so far. A wave of Janus incoming, but they're going to fare really badly because of all of the bangers. They are going to get a round of bombs away. The Monkey Lord is engulfed in fire in the process. He's down to around 14,500 hit points. That is barely anything. And I don't really know why Doom didn't engage with all of his Percivals. He'd have it dead by now, I'm sure of it. He'd have synced that up with that Janus bombing run, and he'd come in with everything. He's obviously concerned as well about gifting veterancy, but of course the longer this stays alive, more units he's able to pick off, more likely that is to happen. Fat Boy, meanwhile, relatively unmolested over in the east, now bombarding the forward stationary units of Doom's base, and actually in range of that T3 factory. To lose that would be a catastrophe for Doom. But that Monkey Lord stocking up on extra kills, and Silent's ACU is not far away. He has been getting a lot of upgrades. He's got the shield upgrade on that already, but in come the Percivals, but bricks have come across from the central plateau as well. In the meantime, the Fat Boy over in the east has taken down the T3 factory. Where is Doom's ACU? He's well away from the base, so no chance there of getting taken out. But the Monkey Lord well down into the red, but then gets a crucial rank of veterancy back up into the yellow. 18,000 hit points and looking strong as bricks come in to assist. And Silent's defense is absolutely folding. He's down to just his last few Percivals. Suddenly, this combo of Brick and Monkey Lord has become too much for Silent to be able to deal with. There is another Fat Boy under construction at the back of the base. I think he would do better, though, to just abandon that, throw all of this build capacity onto these factories and try and get out as many Percivals as he can. He has finished his upgrades, though. He's got 21,600 hit points on the armor. He's got 24,000 on the shield, and he's beginning to throw together Ravagers, and the Monkey Lord still hasn't penetrated into the base, while at the same time that Fat Boy is wrecking Doom's core base. Doom has to make this work or it is game over. He is doing his absolute best, but look at how healthy that Monkey Lord is. What is the veterancy at on this guy? He's up to 5 stars, back up to around 50,000 hit points. That first Ravager is about to complete, but he's going to need a lot more of that. Doom has just sucked up all of these units in this base to beef up, to rank up that Monkey Lord, so much so that it's affecting the trajectory of the Fat Boy. It looks almost like Silent is bringing that home to help defend, but that might be too little too late. The one that was being built in the main base has been destroyed, and the Monkey Lord primaries Silent's ACU. Doom's ACU is well out of it and safe. The shield evaporated. Silent comes forward with his ACU, fires an overcharge into the body of the Monkey Lord, but it's not going to be any good, and Doom is going to win this game. Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? That is ridiculous. How on earth was he able to pull that one off? I don't know. Silent must be screwing. That is a brutal way to lose the game. He was so far ahead, even at the end, even after that Monkey Lord had torn through the main base. After Silent's comm had gone Nova in the middle of his own base, he had lost all of these mass points. He was still sitting on 275 mass per tick against Doom's 57. Of course, admittedly, Doom had taken a big old hit from this Fat Boy down here. But that's a match that Silent should have been able to put away. All credit where credit's due to Doom. That was a wonderful, wonderful Monkey Lord. Hope you enjoyed that first little bit of coverage there from the Grandmasters Cup. I can assure you, if the games are anything like that, there's going to be more to come from those in the future. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.